There's a long and extensive history of European colonization in Asia. The British colonized India and made repeated attempts to colonize China during the 1800s. That's why the British occupied Hong Kong until the 1990s. Southeast Asia, from India to China, was known as French Indochina because of French colonization. The Dutch colonized Taiwan, the Portuguese occupied Macau, and the French occupied Shanghai. When the transatlantic slave trade was banned, there were British and American merchants who tried to recreate it on the Pacific Ocean with enslaved Chinese men in a practice known as selling little pigs, and that's where the term to be shanghaied comes from. And of course, there was all of the U.S. military action in Korea and Southeast Asia during the 1900s. So there has been a lot of Western influence and interference in Asia. A specific problem faced by Asian Americans is the problem of the perpetual foreigner. It doesn't matter how long we've been here. It doesn't matter how many generations our families have been in the United States. It doesn't matter how loyal we've been to the United States. Just because of how we look, we are judged as not being from here, not belonging here, and being inherently suspicious. And that creates a powerful pressure to assimilate, especially when our safety can rely on how well we have assimilated. During the McCarthy era, which is when my mom came to the United States, there were Chinese Americans who had just seen Japanese Americans put in internment camps during World War II, who whitewashed themselves and became white-aligned, patriotic, flag-waving Americans just to stay safe. There are a lot of us whose parents whitewashed us in order to keep us safe. When my older brother started school, my parents enrolled him with his Chinese name because they wanted to be proud of that, and he was bullied and he was beaten up for it. Even years after they switched to his Western name, students who remembered his Chinese name continued to bully and beat him up for it. So 7 years later, when I started school, my parents enrolled me in school using my Western name, which means that I wasn't bullied and beaten up for having a Chinese name, but it also means that part of my identity has been whitewashed. And that's not the same thing as being obsessed with white culture or seeking validation from white people. It is done to keep us safe from anybody who would weaponize our Asianness against us.